Brace yourself for a jaw-dropping journey across the planet's colossus nations, where borders stretch farther than your wildest road trips and landscapes shift from Arctic tundras to scorching deserts in a single country. From the frozen frontiers of the North to the sprawling heartlands of the Americas, we're diving into what makes these giants the ultimate geography powerhouses. What if one river shaped 1.1 million square kilometers of land? The Ganges does exactly that. Stretching 2,525 kilometers, longer than the Nile and Amazon combined, it carves through northern India like a liquid spine. 500 million people depend on its waters for drinking, farming, and sacred rituals every single day. Its mighty delta creates the Sundarbans, 10,000 square kilometers of mangrove forests and tidal islands. Every year, it deposits 1 billion tons of sediment, enough to build a 10-story building 10 kilometers wide in one season. This ancient river doesn't just flow, it architects entire ecosystems, reshaping India with every drop. What if Australia's entire east coast was carved by one mountain range? The Great Dividing Range isn't just any mountain range, it's 2,400 kilometers long, longer than the distance between Paris and Moscow. This ancient spine creates a 1,600-meter elevation drop from inland plateaus to coastal plains, directing 12 major river systems across the continent. And 70% of Australia's population lives along these coastal borders, all shaped by this single, colossal mountain range. Here's the mind-blowing part. This range formed 300 million years ago, older than the Himalayas, when Australia was still part of Gondwana. One mountain range shaped an entire continent, and scientists are still uncovering its secrets. What if a single river could freeze an entire continent colder than Mars? The Lena River stretches 4,400 kilometers, longer than the Rhine, Danube, and Volga combined. Its drainage basin spans 2.5 million square kilometers, larger than Greenland itself. Every year, it freezes solid for 8 months, creating 1,200 kilometers of temporary ice roads. But its delta holds the real shocker: 200 islands spanning 40 kilometers, more landmass than Manhattan, built by 30,000 years of silt. That's an entire city's worth of landmass, deposited 1 grain of silt at a time, for 30 millennia. Nature's been building this frozen giant longer than humans have had writing. What if 2,340 miles of rivers shaped the heart of America? This is the Mississippi-Missouri system, the 4th longest river on Earth. It drains 1.2 million square miles, an area bigger than Brazil, fueling the lifeblood of North America's heartland. Since 1850, the Mississippi has shifted over 100 miles, carving new land and swallowing old, reshaping Louisiana's coastline entirely. Every year, this system moves 160 million tons of sediment, enough to fill 12 million dump trucks. And scientists still can't fully predict where it'll go next, because this river keeps building America, one silt-laden wave at a time. What if a desert hid an ocean beneath it, and scientists just found it? The Nullarbor Plain covers 200,000 square kilometers, bigger than the UK and France combined. Beneath this no-trees land lies the Great Artesian Basin, holding water 66,000 years old. Its underground caves stretch over 1,000 kilometers, deeper than the Grand Canyon. Yet the plain's name is a lie. 1,000-year-old mallee trees thrive here, drinking ancient groundwater. These trees tap into a hidden world where water has flowed since before humans walked Earth. What other secrets lie buried under Australia's burning sands? What if a single 3,000-mile river quietly shaped the borders of Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay? The Parana River forms 1,200 miles of natural borders, keeping 3 nations neatly separated while carrying 12% of Earth's freshwater. Its flow? A staggering 90,000 cubic meters per second, enough to fill 40 Olympic pools every minute. The Itapu Dam on its banks generates 100,000 GWh yearly, second only to China's Three Gorges Dam. But here's the twist: 6,000 years ago, this river's mouth was 200 miles farther downstream. Sediment shifts slowly moved the river 180 miles inland, a geological time warp rewriting borders without a single treaty. Nature's borders are never static, they just wait for us to notice. Did you know Canada's Rockies stretch 1,500 miles and tower 14,000 feet, yet they're just 5% of Earth's mountain systems? These giants form 50% of Canada's western border with the US, a natural fortress separating two nations for millennia. Over 1,800 glaciers hide in their peaks, storing 15% of Canada's freshwater, enough to fill 4.5 million Olympic pools. From the flat Great Plains, elevation skyrockets 10,000 feet to Mount Robson's crown, faster than NYC's Empire State Building. And here's the kicker: these behemoths are geological newborns at just 55 million years old. Compare that to the 400-million-year-old Appalachians. The Rockies are like toddlers in Earth's timeline. So what will these young giants look like in another 55 million years? Nature's still writing the sequel. What if a grassy plain shaped Argentina's rise as a world leader? The Pampas cover 750,000 square kilometers, an area bigger than Texas and California combined. Some soil here holds 2 meters of humus, 10 times richer than most farmland on Earth. 90% of Argentina's wheat and 70% of its corn grow here, feeding 10% of the global population. But the Pampas did more than feed the world, they shaped Argentina itself. In the 1800s, rival gauchos fought over these plains, and their battles literally drew Argentina's borders. What if a 2,400 kilometers mountain range defined a country's edge? For India, the Himalayas aren't just mountains, they're a colossal border guard. This natural fortress spans 2,400 kilometers, longer than the distance from Paris to Baghdad, forming India's northern boundary since ancient times. At over 6,000 meters high, these peaks tower above Mount Fuji and Mount Kilimanjaro combined, blocking frigid Central Asian winds year-round. That barrier warms northern India by 10 degrees Celsius in winter, creating a livable climate where otherwise there'd be permafrost. But here's what scientists find astonishing: the Himalayas are still rising. India's tectonic collision with Asia adds 1 centimeter to their height every single year. Imagine a mountain range that's both a border and a living, growing giant, shaping climates, civilizations, and the very map of a continent. And this growth shows Earth is still shaping itself, right under our feet.
What if I told you a single river powers 40% of China's economy? The Yangtze stretches 6,300 kilometers, longer than the Nile and Amazon combined. Its Three Gorges Dam generates 100 billion kilowatt-hours annually, enough to power 150 million homes. Over 100 million people live along its banks, forming the world's largest river-based megacity network. But here's what shocks scientists: the Yangtze once flowed west. A 1,000-year shift rewrote China's geography and created the delta we know today. Nature's power doesn't just shape landscapes, it rewrites civilizations. What if I told you 95% of Egypt's 100 million people live along a single river? The Nile isn't just any river, it's 4,135 miles long, the longest river on Earth, stretching from East Africa to the Mediterranean. Its delta alone spans 16,000 square miles, 30% of Egypt's population, where the river spills into a labyrinth of fertile waterways. Every year, the Nile once flooded 800 miles of valley, depositing 12 million tons of nutrient-rich silt to feed Egypt's agriculture in a 99% desert country. In 1970, the Aswan Dam tamed these floods, saving over 5,000 lives, but also erasing a 7,000-year-old ecological rhythm. Today, the Nile still sustains Egypt, but without its ancient floods, what else have we lost in the name of progress? What if Earth's most dramatic border guard isn't a wall of concrete, but a 1,200-mile mountain fortress? The Peruvian Andes reach 22,205 feet at Huascaran, taller than Mount McKinley, forming an unbreakable barrier since the Cretaceous period. These giants block 90% of Pacific moisture, creating the Atacama Desert, where some regions see just 0.04 inches of rain yearly. The range divides Peru into three worlds: arid coast, temperate highlands, and the humid Amazon, each with its own ecosystem and culture. Here's the twist: Peru's coast gets less rain than Dubai, even though it sits on the equatorial belt. Nature's engineering isn't just impressive, it's otherworldly. What else is hiding in plain sight? What if half of Earth's landmass was hidden in one country? Siberia alone spans 5.5 million square miles, bigger than Brazil and Canada combined. In Yakutia, temperatures plunge to -90 degrees Fahrenheit, colder than Mars' surface. The Ural Mountains form a 1,500-mile natural border between Europe and Asia. Siberia's permafrost holds twice as much carbon as Earth's entire atmosphere, and it's melting. What happens when this frozen giant wakes up? What if a single river shaped an entire continent? The Yenisei River doesn't just flow, it carves through Siberia's frozen heart. This 3,445-mile giant drains 1.3 million square miles, more land than the entire contiguous United States. It slashes through 6 time zones, freezing solid for 9 months in some regions, yet still roars with 2,800 cubic meters of water every second. Its chocolate brown color hides a staggering secret: 100 million tons of sediment, enough to flood 20,000 Olympic pools. This river doesn't just move water, it moves continents.